Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside AWI. My name is Rebecca Matter, and I am super, super excited to be joined today by Joshua Boswell. Hi, Joshua.
Hi.
We are going to cover his proven process today for using content to land great writing clients. As you know, if you've been here before, we're big fans of Inside AWI. This is our opportunity every month to dive really deep into a topic. One of the most popular topics that you ask us for is getting clients. And so we want to back that up. So we wanted to make sure that this is the way Joshua's brain works. Literally, what you're seeing right now is how he wants to go. But we know that getting clients is a big, not even necessarily a challenge, but it's the first big roadblock. It's the first thing that can get us stuck simply because we just don't know what to do or how to proceed. And what Joshua's going to go over today, which I'm so excited about, is one of the least stressful ways you can go about getting clients because you're doing what you love, and that's writing. So our goals for today, now you can advance the slides, Joshua, is actually go through this simple content writing system. Back when we first had Joshua join us as a business building expert, he had a totally different system to teach, and it's cool to watch his evolution. What I love most about Joshua, in addition to his enthusiasm and commitment to helping people, he's one of the most generous people that I know in this industry. He's constantly learning, he's constantly evolving. The guy spends so much time and so much money traveling and learning from other experts and spending time with people, not only coaching, but being coached and then passing that on and seeing how it works and adapting it, watching someone evolve so much over this period of time. And I've known him almost my entire time at AWI, over 15 years, watching somebody evolve not only through their own success story, but then paying it forward and then watching that evolution of how the way that he helps has evolved with the industry, with what our members are wanting, are excited about, with what works better. You know, the industry is constantly changing with social media and now content. How do you adapt? And are there better ways and easier ways of finding clients and building a business? And so he's committed himself to really understanding what that is and how it works. And that's why I'm excited to bring him here. I can bring him back every year because it continues to evolve. He finds a bigger, better, faster mousetrap, and it's so cool to watch. So he's through this system. He's going to actually go through the whole system today. What I love about the system is not only are you doing what you love, which is writing, but it will actually improve your writing skills while you're trying to get clients. So it's like double dipping on your time on the skill building and business building side. It will actually position you as an expert, which puts you in a great position when you're talking to clients. It'll give you the confidence that you need to ask for the fees that you want, and it will set the expectation for them to expect to pay you professional fees. So you're starting that conversation on a very level playing field out of the gate. This process alone will attract really great clients for you, and then we'll go over some tools and resources and open it up for a Q&A. At the end. If you have questions and you're watching this live during, definitely post them in the Q&A box and I'll be answering them. If I don't answer your question at that moment, it's because we will be answering it live at the very end, so just sit tight. Before I hand it over to Joshua, one more slide. If you don't know who he is, if you have not been around AWI for a while or haven't heard his story,
or don't know how to do the slides.
Although I can talk anyways. That's Joshua. You can see him in the video. He is a husband of 11, father, speaker, copywriter, entrepreneur, and just all around great guy and great friend. I call him a friend. I've met him 14 and a half years ago. It was my first big conference with AWI. It was down in Miami. Bob Bly was talking about selling yourself as a copywriter. And this guy stood up in one of the first few rows and said, I'm here, I'm committed, I'm brand new to AWI. I have a ton of debt. I'm over 6 figures in debt. I had to borrow money from my father-in-law to be here. And by the way, I have 6 kids. I have to make this work. And literally my stomach like sunk. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do, but I have to make this guy successful. I didn't have to. That guy had it. By the end of the year, he's one of our best, fastest success stories. He got out of debt and was making 6 figures within 11 months in that first year. He then went on to pay it forward and teach AWI members. He's had amazing clients for himself over the years. You can see him here, Sony, Microsoft, Google, Agora. But really what I am most attached to Joshua about is the fact that he has stuck around with us all this time and continued to always put a hand back and pull the next generation of writers forward. So with that, Joshua, I'm going to hand it over to you. And again, guys, I'll be in the Q&A and back at the very end. Take it away,
okay,
Joshua.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Very generous. And I got to say, I count you as one of my great friends as well. And you did do an amazing amount of work to help me succeed. And so I feel like I get this rare privilege of sticking around, of helping the next generation. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Just for my timing's sake, I'm looking at my clock here. We want to roll into Q&A by about what would be my time, Central Time, by about 11:45, 11:50. Is that right, or want a little more time?
We do have as long as you need. I'd like the content to be within the hour, Perfect. But the Q&A we stay on as long until all the questions are asked.
Sure. Okay, great. Well, let's rock. So here's the question. So I want to pose a question. See, we hear this conversation about there's tons of clients out there and they really want writers, and you're a writer, and it's like, we got to make these two things match up and marry up. And so how do you do that? And over the years, I've done lots of different systems and processes. And I want you to know something. Number one, I never do a new system or new process without first doing it myself. And so I rigorously test it with my own time, my own money, my own resources, my own clients. And then I grab a group of people and we do beta testing. And so about a year and a half ago, I had this idea. I'm like, well, why don't we create a system? Because writers, I mean, most writers that I know, they don't like doing aggressive marketing. They don't like picking up the phone and making sales calls. They don't like doing, the hard negotiating and the closing tactics and all those kinds of things that, honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I actually enjoy. So, but I was like, but these guys don't. So why don't we create a system so literally they can wake up every morning and do what they love and have that, which is writing, right? And have that writing literally attract and draw in clients. And so I started doing it, and then I started testing it with another writer, and the results have been absolutely incredible. And now I've been teaching aggressively for a little over a year, and the results with my students has just been off the charts. And so I'm super excited to share this system with you today. As you can hear, I talk really fast because I got so much to share with you, and we're going to pack a bunch of things in. But I just want to know, just raise of hand, and I think I can see the hands raised over here. Raise of hand. Like, how many of you feel that sense of like, I'd love to get clients, but I'd rather not pick up the phone and make a bunch of phone calls or, dive into hard negotiating and sales tactics? Like, does that resonate with anybody? I want to share with you, so a lot of you are raising your hands, so thank you very, very much. So I want to share a couple of, just two quick stories with you as an example. So here's Carolyn, and Carolyn, here's the cool thing about it, is like, Carolyn has been one of my students for a long time, and she resisted, and she didn't want to do this and that marketing thing. And then I introduced her to this new system, and she's like, I don't know, it can't be that simple. I'm not sure this is the right thing for me, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, just do it. And we finally got her to do it. And literally in under 2 months, she landed 2 retainer clients and is pulling in currently over $8,500 a month. And it's not even chewing up all of her time. She could handle another client easy, and has got requests. I think I just heard from her that she's got another proposal out for another retainer client, and we're just a few months into her actually engaging in the system. So that is like, to me, that's like, wow, like I never could do that making cold calls. I mean, it was mind blowing the speed at which this happened. Let me give you another example. Here's Debbie. And she started using this in March of 2019. Within a month, landed her first dream client, and then went on from there to build up a retainer and client base to where she's doing well over $20,000 a month in income and revenue. So I'm telling you these two things not so you can be like, oh, well, like number one, I'm not telling you that to say that you can, like, I'm not guaranteeing you this kind of money. So full legal disclaimer here. They worked and they did stuff, and there was sacrifice and there was effort involved. So this is not like, oh, drop out of the sky and all of a sudden you're a millionaire. But I'm telling you, like, the speed and the efficiency of this system, as has been the results that my students have seen, is absolutely stunning. And so I want to just make sure you have that in your mind as we go forward here. And both of these writers and the hundreds of others that I've worked with, they're doing what they love every single day. And it's not making cold calls, and it's not building out complicated sales funnels, and it's not doing hard negotiating and marketing tactics. It's doing what you love, and that's to write every single day. And so I'm super excited to show these. So let's dive in. Here's the number one key. Okay. The key is not, like, I've known a lot of writers that they write every single day. Bravo. Congratulations. That's a good start. But the key is not just writing, but it's knowing what to write and then what to do with that writing. Like, where do you place this? Where do you position this in order to get the biggest bang for your buck? How do you use your writing? How do you structure it in a way that attracts and draws in highly qualified prospects and then rolls them over into clients to create the kind of income and the lifestyle that you want? And what do you do with that? And that's what we're going to dive into now. Fair warning here, I'm going to geek out on you a little bit with some deep human psychology. There's a very good reason for it. And the reason is because I want you to see the full picture. Like, I'm giving you literally 15 years of my experience working with marketing directors, writing promotions, and doing big deals with big companies and small companies. I'm literally condensing this down into the next 45 minutes. But in order for you to understand, I can't just give you a bunch of little templates and say, well, go out and do it. I want to set you up for success. So we're going to dive deep into not just what to do, but why it actually works. Raise your hand if that's cool. If you're okay with me geeking out a little bit about psychology and writing tactics. Everyone cool with that? All right, awesome. It's fun to see the numbers roll up. Yay, thank you guys. Okay, so there are three. So let's talk first about what to write, and then we're going to talk about where to place it. Okay, so here's the big. This is like 15 years of my experience condensed down into three simple bullet points. And if you don't take anything else away from this experience, this time that we have together, just jot these down, stick them up on your wall, and make a little notes about what this really means. And every time you sit down to write something, would you do me a favor and just remember these three elements? I'm going to go through them in depth here in just a minute. But the number one is you need to understand the difference between writing as an expert and writing as an expert writer, right? So, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So that's one thing. The second thing is you need to understand what are called RAS triggers. RAS stands for reticular activating system. And these things are what trigger attention in the minds of our target audience. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. And the last one is the connection, the core human psychology between safety and growth, and the juxtaposition, the seemingly conflict between staying safe and experiencing growth. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm telling you that when we get through with this, you will have an incredible, powerful arsenal of what to write and how to write that in a way that draws in highly qualified prospects. Okay, so let's dive into this. First thing is expert versus expert writer. What do I mean? Okay, well, in order to answer this, let's talk for just a minute about why people want to hire you. And I think that we have some commentary. I think we can do commentary. So answer the question for me. Like, type into the comment box or the Q&A box, whatever's there, and like just share with me why you think people would want to hire a writer. Why do writers get hired? What do you guys think? And by the way, I'm not looking for a specific answer. I really am just like, I'd love to just hear your insights. So yeah, into the chat panel, drop the little comments in there. And I got to get down to my new comments. So they're going to communicate their goals. They don't like or they can't write themselves. You solve their problem. They don't know how to sell. They want to have you do it. You guys are awesome. Look at these. You're coming too fast. I'm just grabbing a few of them. It triggers emotions. They don't have their own time to do it. Their clients can spend quality time doing other stuff, etc. Okay, awesome. So you guys, like, they just keep coming. You guys are amazing. Congratulations. Thank you for interacting with me. I think it's really good. Okay, so you have this ability to do that. Now I want to point this out. All of the answers that you guys gave, I think that if we looked at those and analyzed all of your answers, it would boil down to this one little sentence. And here's what I found. And I don't mean to sound greedy or grubby, but here's the deal. People hire writers for one predominant overarching reason, and that is to make money. And so they don't have time to do it. Well, why do they want to do it in the first place? So they can grow their business. They don't have the expertise. Why do they need the expertise? To grow their business or to fund their cause, right? But they're doing this to make money. And if I can encourage you to do one thing, and that would be to remember, like when you think about, well, why would they hire me? Answer the question, because I can help them make some money. That's why they're going to hire you. Now that's why they would hire a writer. But let's go one step deeper into this and ask the question, why would they want to hire you personally. So like, on this call, there's many hundreds of people on this call right now. And so you look at like, oh, there's all these different writers that people could choose from. So why would they want to hire you? Like Charles and Patricia and Anna and Vanessa and, Elizabeth, Andy, like, why would they hire you? And I'm just going to answer this question for you. And that is because they trust. Now think about this for just a minute, because they trust that you can deliver on their goal of helping them to make more money one way or another. Whether that's clearly communicating their goal, educating their audience, increasing their social media presence, all of these things swirl back to, do they trust in your ability to actually generate their end goal, generate revenues, generate donations? And here's the thing, and I want you, and I'm trying not to make this too simple but it really is this simple. Here's the reality of it. As soon as this big pool of marketers and fundraisers and companies and business owners, as soon as they trust and believe that get this back here, that you can deliver on that promise, they'll hire you. Why wouldn't they? It's a great return on investment. They can invest a couple hundred or a couple thousand or tens of thousands into you, and they can make hundreds or millions, right? So it's a great investment. So they got to trust you. So the question is how do you get them to trust you? How do you get them to trust you? And the answer is very, very simple. It is in this one little phrase. You have to prove that you're an expert writer. It does no good to prove that you're an expert in your field. You have to prove that you're an expert writer in your field. So let's talk about this for just a minute and show you the difference, okay? So here's the difference. Let's pretend that you're an alternative health writer and you're writing about nutrition and supplements and you're helping to sell that. That's the industry you want to go into. Now imagine that you put together a blog and some articles and a variety of different content, and all of the stuff that you wrote, you just like, say you're a nutritionist and you had advanced degrees and you knew all about the biology and all about the food and about physiology and all of your writing, you just wrote all about this ton of wealth of information that you knew about supplements and nutrition. Now, put yourself in the marketer's shoes for just a minute. If you read that, then would you think, oh, this writer, this person is amazing, knows so much about supplements? Or would you think, oh, I really want to hire this person? Now, I'm going to answer the question for you. The answer is, you would read that and be like, oh, they know a lot about nutrition. Great. In other words, you would be saying to them, I know a ton about nutrition and supplements. But you haven't connected the dots for them that you actually know how to help them achieve their goals. See, there are a lot of nutritionists that don't know anything about writing. They don't know anything about sales. They don't know anything about business building. They don't know anything about communicating clearly and effectively, right? Raise your hand if you would agree with that statement. Like, can you imagine that there are zillions, like probably hundreds and thousands of nutritionists that do not know anything about clear, effective writing or communication or persuasion? Yeah, that makes sense when you put it that way, right? Okay, so if you wrote about all that stuff, then like, I think they would come away from that experience of reading all your stuff and say, wow, that's an expert. And I'm telling you, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of writers do this. They get super excited about a topic. They really enjoy it. And so they write a whole bunch about it. And they heard that content marketing is key to having clients talk to you and approach you. And like, they do all this time and effort and energy. And then at the end of the day, what happens? Nothing. That's what happens, because they validated that they're an expert in their field, but nobody wants to hire an expert in their field. They want to hire an expert writer in their field. And so the difference is this statement. So it would look something more like this. So this writing trick or technique or strategy or idea will get tons of people to buy your supplements. Now imagine that if you had a blog, a LinkedIn page, social media presence, and every time you sat down to write, you were writing about strategies and ideas and techniques and resources and things that related directly to helping that marketer, to helping that industry grow their business, increase their income, sell more supplements, persuade more people, educate more people. And that's what you always wrote about. Now, people reading that, can you imagine what they're going to think and what they're going to feel about you now? I mean, the reality of it is like, you know, here's the deal. Like, man, they would come away from that and be like, oh, like David is like incredibly, he knows how to persuade people and clearly talk about supplements. Like, we have got to hire this guy. And they'd be like, oh, Elizabeth, we have to have her on our team. Look at how much she knows, not only about supplements, but about persuading people on supplements. Raise your hand if you're following me on the difference here between an expert and positioning yourself as an expert and positioning yourself as an expert writer. Are you following me on this? Okay. I'm going to take some questions at the end if you have any questions. So if you have a question about this, like, please write this down, because I'm telling you that literally, like, I'm giving you the highest leverage stuff first. So literally, if you don't remember anything else, if you remember, every time you sit down to write, just say to yourself, oh, if somebody reads this, would they think, oh, I'm an expert in this field? Or would they say, oh, he's an expert writer in this field? And if you can get them to always think you're an expert writer, then you've won the game. I'm going to show you some actual techniques on how to do that here in just a minute, but just remember that question. Is this showing that I'm an expert or an expert writer? And if it shows that you're an expert writer, I'm telling you, people will flock to you. They will want you to write for them, because expert writers, gosh, they are rare. They are rare. It's one of the things I love about AWI is they're making it less rare, but you know, even as much as AWI does, hey, there's 7.4 billion people on the planet. They're not going to get to everybody. So you guys got plenty of opportunities for growth. Okay, so, well, we're going to try to get to everybody. All right. So, as I said, you want to write content that shows that you're a writer in your niche, an expert writer in your niche, and not an expert in your niche, okay? And so I've already belabored that point. So let's go on to the next point here. The next point is what's called RAS triggers. Now, to understand this, I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So in St. Louis, which I live about 3 hours from St. Louis, but we were over in St. Louis doing some stuff, and we're driving my small van. I didn't have the whole family with us, so we had the small van, not the 15 passenger, but the small one. And there I am driving down the road in St. Louis. And as you can imagine, any big city, like there's billboards and there's skyscrapers and there's tons of traffic going both ways. And it's kind of, I'm going to tell you what RAS triggers are here in just a minute. And just listen to this story because it's going to explain exactly what this is. So there's all this stuff, right? And in the middle of all this, you can imagine that there's a lot of stuff that my brain can focus on. I could focus on the car in front of me, my speed, conversations that are going on in the car, the last billboard that I saw. I mean, think about all the stuff that my mind could revert to and could pay attention to while I'm driving down the road in this data-rich environment. And in the middle of all of this, my head suddenly goes like this. And I don't know if you can see my image, but it jerks to the right, and my eyes focus on this little sign on the side of the road. And on the little sign on the side of the road, it says, town and country. And, you know, I'm doing like 75 miles an hour. And so I saw the words on there, and it was a sign like, you know, now entering town and country city limits. And then gone. I was just zipped on past it. And I thought to myself, I was like, wow, why is it I'm speeding down the road 75, 80 miles an hour, tons of things I could pay attention to, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, my brain picks up on this one sign, and I am involuntarily forced to look at it, read it, and acknowledge it and pay attention to it. Now, let me tell you why that happens. And there's a great secret to powerful writing and to becoming an expert writer in your field, okay? So here's the deal. What happens there is there's this part of your brain called the reticular activating system. That's what RAS stands for, reticular activating system. You don't need to remember that. Just remember that there's a part of your brain that filters out information that comes to you, and it says, hey, well, should I do something with this? Like, should I pay attention to it? Should I delete it and never think about it again? Or should I store it somewhere and use it as a later reference? And every bit of information that comes to you goes through that filtering process. So, for example, right now, you're probably sitting on a chair. You might be in a room. I want you to think for just a minute. You didn't pay attention to it until just now, but I want you to think for just a minute about how the chair feels underneath you. Feel the ambient temperature in the room, and like suddenly be aware of all your circumstances. Well, guess what? The temperature was there, the chair was there, the computer monitor was there, the curtains were there, the window was there. Everything was there just a minute ago, but you weren't paying attention to it. Your brain was collecting that information and just and deleting it, filtering it out, because you didn't need to think about that right now. You need to think about me, right? You need to focus on what I'm teaching you here, okay? So this reticular activating system controls what you pay attention to. Now, I want you to think for just a minute. I want you to throw in some more answers into the chat panel, because you guys are awesome at chat panel stuff. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about how this relates to your writing. Like, what, just brainstorm with me, and I'm going to give you some ideas, but it's just really cool. Like, how does this relate? How do RAS triggers relate to you sitting down and writing every single day? How would that be important in our life as writers? What do you guys think? Okay. So it helps with your research. Cool. Any other thoughts? I got to get up here. Okay, so you write about things that they want to listen to. You're able to grab their attention. You're able to come to know your audience better. So you're writing things that are going to specifically grab their attention and hold it, okay? And even though there's so much noise, it like gives you the ability to cut through that noise. It helps you stand out in the crowd. It draws attention to your copy. It helps you to know what's invaluable. It becomes inspiring for anything. Okay, allows you to it keeps you focused. It keeps them focused. It helps you deliver on the end result. Okay, so your words are hitting the right target. Exactly. So imagine a marketing director sitting at his desk and scrolling through Facebook or LinkedIn or whatnot. And what do most people do? They're just like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, I'm going to pay attention to that. Now, why are they paying attention to that? Because there's a part of their brain that labels that as important. And one of your biggest challenges is to grab their attention by talking about things that are important to them. I know that sounds like super elementary, like, oh, that's so simple, but it's really, I think, oh, look at that. Oh, baby. Okay, let's try that again. My screen just went crazy. Apparently, if I slide my finger over my mouse, it changes stuff. Okay, let's not do that again. Okay, there we are. So number one job is to grab their attention and make sure that they're listening to you, because you cannot do anything until you grab attention. Hey, by raise of hand, has anybody ever had the experience of sending an email out to somebody and then getting crickets, never hearing a response whatsoever from them? Raise your hands if you've ever had that experience. Right. Okay, yes. So a bunch of you, you're like, yep, had that experience. A bunch of us have had that. Well, you know what happened there is one of the key things is you failed to activate their RAS trigger. You failed to activate that portion of their brain that said, hey, this is important, pay attention to them. Now, how do you know what those RAS triggers are? How do you know what to go after? Well, there are three specific kinds of triggers that I want you to be aware of. Number one, personal. So what's important to them personally? Okay, so it might be family issues, it might be travel issues, it might be things that are going on in their personal finances or something, like things that are personal to them. And it's cool because we've got LinkedIn and groups and all kinds of resources where we can go and actually learn a little bit about people. Facebook, people say all kinds of things on Facebook to help you understand what their priorities are and what's important to them. The second category is, in business. Like, what's their company doing? What kind of products are they releasing? What promotions are they running? What activities are they engaging on in a business standard? And those things are going to be super, super important to your audience, to the people you're trying to trigger. And then finally is hobbies. How do they choose to spend their time? And this is actually a very different category from personal stuff. And so I separate it out because what people choose to spend their free time on is different than what they have to spend time on, or what their lifestyle and circumstances in their personal life is compelling them to spend time on. And so these are three different categories. And when you do research, you can go out there, and here's my suggestion, and that is go out there and choose 5 to 10 individuals, real people that are your target audience. So let's say that you're going after alternative health. Go find 5 to 10 alternative health companies, find out who the marketing director is there, and then find out what's important to them. And the cool part about it is if you do this, if you research 5 to 10 key decision makers in your niche, you will have discovered what's important to just about all of them, because birds of a feather flock together. And so what's important to a small handful, you can see commonalities in a small handful of marketers and people that hire writers. You'll know that that will relate to thousands of these people. And, you know, I just want you to think about, like, don't you and your friends have common interests and common way of looking at life and perspectives? Well, the answer is yes. So I'm telling you that once you, like, if I got to know 5 of your friends, then I would really know how to talk to all of your friends, because there would be commonalities and circumstances. Some of you are like, I only have 5 friends. So anyway, so those are different things that you can research for your triggers, okay? So you research, and then when you find out what's important to them, then you write about those things. So let me give you a quick example here. I discovered that in the technology world, for some odd reason, there's a lot of geeks that really like outdoor stuff. Like technology marketing directors love outdoor stuff. And so I wrote a series of articles that related to fishing, skiing, and I connected, like, hey, you know, what's the connection between a good fishing experience and grabbing a new subscriber for your SaaS software, right? And that was like a headline that I wrote for an article. And then I wrote the article. Well, I talked about SaaS stuff, business things that are important to them. I talked about fishing, things that I knew was important to most people in that audience. And I talked about how to get growth, how to make more money. Who's not going to stop and read that headline? And they did by the thousands. They loved it, right? Because I was activating things that were important to them. Raise your hand if this makes sense. Are you still with me? I know this is pretty deep. I told you I was going to geek out. Raise your hand if you're still with me. Boom, I love it. Okay, and if you can't raise your hand, type in a comment. If you can't type in a comment, just nod your head. I'm going to feel the energy of it. It'll be awesome, okay? All right, now let's move on to number 3. Last thing we're going to geek out on, and then I'm going to give you some logistical things about what to do with this cool writing that you're putting together. So number 3, safety and growth. Now, as human beings, you and I have 2 prime directives. I mean, these are baked into us. You cannot avoid this. Every human being has this. Prime directive number 1 is to be safe. Like, we want to be alive, 98.6 and breathing, right? And we have a database in our head of things that say, and yes, I can share any articles that I've written with you guys that you want. You're welcome to go on my LinkedIn, but I just saw this question come up, but you're welcome to go onto my LinkedIn profile, and you can see the way that I'm writing articles now that address certain target audiences that I'm talking to. So feel free to go and look at that. And if you want some more, then AWI can ping me and we can fire off a bunch of more articles to you, whatever you'd like. So back to safety. So you have a database in your head that you created from the time you were very little that said, this is safe and will keep me alive, and this is my safe zone. So when you hear someone say, like, oh, that's outside of my comfort zone, you know what they're really saying? They're saying, oh, my database says I don't know this thing, and so I'm not sure if it's safe or not. So that's out of my comfort zone, or I suspect it might not be safe, okay? So when you say, boy, I don't know, that's just out of my comfort zone, that's what's really going on inside your head, okay? The second thing that we all have a drive for, and it's actually why you're on this call. Why you're on this call is because you have a drive to grow. You want to become better. You want to have something different. You want to have a new experience. And here's the rub. Safety is always calculated by known quantities. Growth is always calculated by unknown new quantities. Do you see the conflict of interest there? And what happens is a lot of people trade off one of these 2 things, and we won't live in one category or another for very long. If we do, then we're miserable. If everything in our world is always safe and never changes and always stays the same, you can live like that for a while, but eventually you will break out of that mold. Or if you have things that are always new and always changing, then you're going to go crazy and you're going to want to come back to comfort zone. Now, here's why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this because as you write stuff, then you need to have a connection inside of your writing between what's safe and what's new. Okay, what's safe and what's new. And I actually was going to tell you a story about the first time I went on this is the roller coaster. This was the first big roller coaster I ever went on, and I did it at the encouragement of a very cute girl that I was dating in high school. And I'm not going to tell you that story because I'd like to get to some other things here, but just know that there was a combination of you know, the safety and comfort of my girlfriend and the new scary thing of the double loop-de-loop and the great big, you know, 65-mile-an-hour blah, blah, blahs on the colossal fire dragon. And I'm not going to go into that story, but just know that there's got to be a connection between what's safe and what's going to help them to grow. I want to give you an example of how to create content that demonstrates your understanding of those proven principles, and it combines proven principles with new ideas. And so here's a very simple example, okay? So AWI has an award-winning, like amazing, like incredibly triumph of mastery of writing, a letter that says, it says, you know, can you write, and I'm going to get the headline a little bit off here, but Rebecca can give me an exact quote, but it's basically, it's like, the headline that I saw was, retire this year and still make more than most doctors if you can write a simple letter like this one, okay? Retire this year and still make more than most doctors if you can write a simple letter like this one. So where's the growth part? The growth part is the new experience of being able to retire at, you know, 30 years old and making a six-figure income. Like, never done that. That's a little nerve-wracking, kind of scary. But then we softened it with, if you could write a simple letter like this one, and which I said, I can write a letter, like, and haven't we all had that? How many of you saw some promotion similar to that where you said, like, here's something new and cool that you can get and experience, and you can do it with an old system. In fact, that's why you're on this call today. I said, you can have tons of clients doing what you love and what you're already comfortable with. I combined growth, new, with the safety of what you already know how to do. Raise your hand if you're following me on this. Does this make sense? Yeah. Now, here's the deal. Next time you sit down to write a headline, if you forget all your other techniques and you just say, oh, all I have to do is remember that I'm going to help them grow in a way that feels safe and comfortable for them. And your titles, your subject lines, people are going to pay attention and they're going to be like excited about doing it. Okay. So it's like very, very, very awesome. Okay. Oh, and we're going to go through here. So now what do you do with the writing? Now we're going to get into logistics. I'm going to geek down just a little bit. And we're going to talk about some strategic logistics, and then I'll open it up for Q&A. So now that you have become an expert writer and you've activated the RAS triggers, you've caught their attention, and you have triggered their desire for new, and you've combined new and safe. Now that you're writing articles like this and combining these things, now what do you do with it? How do you position and place this in a way that actually creates the desire, like gets in front of the right people? So there are three places where you're going to put your writing. So number one, LinkedIn, Facebook, so social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And by the way, you can replicate the same stuff in those three places. You don't have to create all tons of new content, as I'll show you in a minute. You can also place it on your website. So as people come across you and they want to go check you out, they can see stuff on your website. And also in what I call the niche universe. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So inside of LinkedIn, you've got three major ways that you can position your writing and your ideas that will attract clients. Number one are posts. Posts are under 200 words. There's an actual character count, but it works out to be about under 200 words. And you can make short, quick little posts, etc. And then the second one is an article, and this can be like anywhere from 900 to like, well, it could be really long. I don't think they cap the articles, but I can tell you from multiple studies that I've read, and there's probably some other ones, but right around 1,100 words, if you're publishing an article, right around 1,100 words is sort of a sweet spot for how it'll get written and respond to and engaged with, okay? And then you've got comments. So other people write articles, other people are writing posts, other people are, engaging in conversations in groups. So you could go in there and comment on them and get feedback. And if you know your target audience and what's important to them, then you could go, like, let's use my fishing example. So I'm in a forum, I'm in a group inside of LinkedIn, and there's all these nerds in there, right? It's for SaaS companies. There's an association for SaaS company marketing directors, and then they're talking about different stuff. And I do a quick comment or a post that's like, oh, that reminds me of this fishing trip that I went on. Like, I was throwing out the wrong bait, but then I threw out the right bait, and suddenly the fish started biting like crazy. And I'm thinking, like, that's what you guys are talking about. Like, you're frustrated with too much churn and not getting enough people in, and maybe you got a problem with your bait, right? And like, I know that if I make a comment like that, those guys are going to comment back. People will pay attention. They'll be like, who is this guy? Like, he really gets me. Like, I love fishing. That's a cool analogy, right? And they're going to trip out on it because we've had conversations in an arena that they already know, that I know is important to them. Okay, raise your hand if that makes sense before I move on to other stuff. Yeah, thank you guys. Like, and again, I see there's some questions rolling through here, and I'm gonna get to those. So in Facebook, obviously you can do posts on a business page, memes and quotes. By the way, all this is recorded. You guys will have access to all this. So I'm going to zip through some of these things because they're kind of common sense. And then on Instagram, you can do, Instagram's obviously shorter stuff. And so you can do pictures and memes and quotes. And also you could comment on other people's stuff, which also gets you traction and insight. Okay. On your website, what do you do on your website? You do blog posts, and also you can post your samples, and you can engage people in dialogue and conversations there. And now let's talk about the niche universe for just a minute. By niche universe, what I mean is all of your guys' target audiences, whether it's in finance, whether it's in nutrition, whether it's in business to business, whether it's in underwater basket weaving, I don't know, whatever niche you're in, whatever area you're focusing your writing, there are associations, there's groups, there are publications, there's training content going on. And if you can put your writing in front of them, so like go to an association and say, hey, I'd like to provide some pro bono content for you guys. You'd be amazed at how many associations will be like, well, let's see a sample and great, love it. And if you write stuff that is relatable to them and important to them and trains them and demonstrates your expert writing ability, they'll gobble it up and then people will come to you, okay? All right, raise your hand if this niche universe thing makes sense here, because I'm going to go on to another thing and show you sort of a strategy for how to actually write every single day, and then we're going to drive right into questions. So here's a system to make this all work, okay? So, and thanks, I see a lot of people raising their hand, a lot of people commenting. I just want to applaud you guys for like you guys are amazingly engaged. I just love what you're doing here in terms of engaging your comments and your feedback, and can't wait to answer questions for you. So your goal should be to write quality client attraction content 5 times a week. And if you love writing and you love your target audience and you love doing this, should be easy for you to do. And if you use these patterns that I've given you and really kind of unpack them, you'll see like, oh, this is super cool. And when you start seeing the results that it has, presenting yourself as an expert writer and activating their attention and doing things that inspires them and excites them but keeps them on safe ground, you'll be shocked at what it does. So I just want you to write every single day. And here's the kinds of stuff you can write. You can write your journal. You can write sample pieces. You can write the content that we've talked about. And of course, you can write for projects. And you can do this every single day, okay? Now, here's a schedule of how that might work. And then here's just a way that I want you to think about this. Let's just say that on Monday, you schedule some time for yourself to write a 900-word, maybe 1,500-word article. I had one of my fabulous favorite clients in the whole universe sent me an email yesterday and said, hey, we need an 11th hour request. Can you bang out a quick article? And I'm like, yeah, you got it. And in less than 45 minutes, I cranked out a just shy of 900-word article because it was on a topic that I knew, topic that I loved, and I got that cranked out. It doesn't have to take forever once you know your material, once you know your audience. So on Monday, write an article. Tuesday, do a post. But here's the cool part. Go up into your article and take a piece of that article out, some relevant little sliver, and turn that into a post. You don't even have to rewrite it. You've already done the work. Just multiply your efforts. On Wednesday, you can do what I call curated content. And curated content is where you're basically taking something somebody else has written and you're commenting on it and feeding that off to your list. You're posting that. So it would be like I'd find a cool article that somebody has written about the SaaS industry or about nutrition, whatever niche I'm in. And then I would have that article, I would summarize it in 3 to 4 or 5 bullet points. And then I'd write a little 1 or 2 paragraph summary of it or my comment on it. Hey, look at this article. It's amazing, you know, what the FDA is doing with nutritional supplements. Here's how I think that plays into marketing yourself or writing about this. This is just my thoughts on it, and post that out there and invite people to engage in the conversation. That's called curated content. On Thursday, guess what you could do? Do another post. And you can rob from your curated content comments or from your article again and just have another post. Friday, whip out another article. Like all of this writing right here, once you get done, would not take you forever. It's very, very quick to do. And the amount of the amount of attention that you can grab doing this consistently is mind blowing. And I think I skipped a bunch of slides. I just explained that. I explained the writing. I explained the curated content. So there you go. I forgot I had slides on those. Okay. Here's the thing that I want you to remember is I want you to post quality content every day and just focus on those 3 keys and you'll do great. Some of you are like, but I'm a brand new writer. It's okay. Just get started. But I'm not sure I know my target audience. No problem. Just do some research. Go on to LinkedIn. Read up about some of these guys. Find out what they're, who they are and what they're doing. I don't know how to do research. Man, AWI has a fabulous research program that will show you exactly how to dig in there and pull out cool things. And, if you're really struggling, go read a Nancy Drew book or a Hardy Boys book, and you'll see the way those guys flew things out, and they'll give you clues about how to actually do the research. Okay. All right. Let me show you an example of a content calendar, and then I think we're about ready to answer questions. So here we go. Here's an example. Again, you'll get this, but I just want to point out, like on Monday, you write an article and you sit down and you say, okay, what article am I going to write? And by the way, you create this content calendar in advance. And you can fill in some of these blanks. And so you say, well, I want to write an article and I'm going to do it on the topic of selling to the affluent. And a potential headline could be 3 hooks to get rich to buy supplements that the poor ignore, right? And then I'm going to do a post that's like how to inspire wealthy penny pinchers to open their wallets. And then I'm going to curate some content. Maybe I found an article about how to solve the top 3 challenges for, all alternative health writers face. And then I could do like, herbal headlines that work as a topic. So notice that I've just plotted out in advance. So what I do is I sit down and like every week I sit down and I plot out the coming week or the coming month and just make a loose idea about what I'm going to write and when I'm going to write it. Raise your hand if this makes sense. Like this is super simple. Do not overthink or overcomplicate this. But planning and strategizing what you're going to do is very, very powerful. Just swipe this little diagram that I've given you here and fill in the blanks on your own sheet. Okay. So 3 things to get up and running really fast. And we've talked about a bunch of this stuff, but just list out your content topics, have some weekly themes, have a daily schedule, and then just get on it and just start writing. I'm telling you, the most powerful thing you can do is just to try, just to work through this. Okay. Now I'm going to end my training with this, my most important secret of all. Here's the most important one of all, and that's this. You got to have confidence in yourself. You got to have confidence in yourself. You have the choice to choose to say, well, I'm a brand new writer and I'm just getting started and I don't know all this stuff. And that's one choice. You have the choice to think that. But when you think that, how does that make you feel? I just want you to think about that for a minute. How do you feel when you think, oh, I'm a brand new, throw some comments in here real quick. Like when you think, oh, I'm a brand new writer and I'm just starting out, like what are the emotions and feelings that come up for you? You feel small, okay? Like you're unsure of yourself, you've got fear, you're worrying, you're uncertain. Okay, looks like nobody should listen to me, you feel defeated, right? Now, when you have those kinds of feelings, can I ask you something? How do you perform in life? If you're anything like me, and I've had all of those feelings, all of the things you guys are writing, confused, incapable of selling, etc., right? I've had all those feelings, and when I do, guess what? Guess what my performance is like? In the pit. It stinks. My writing's bad, or I don't ever get to my writing because why bother? No one's going to listen to me anyway, right? So I wrote on here the story of Hydrocephalus Association versus when I went to Corel. And in both of these situations, for the Hydrocephalus Association, I got paid $1,000. For Corel, on my first project was just shy of $7,000. My second project with them was over $20,000. And I went on to do several $100,000 worth of projects with them. And you know what? What was the difference here? Hydrocephalus was my first big client, my first client that I landed. My third client was Corel. I was a brand new writer. I didn't know anything about what I was doing. What changed? My determination to think about myself and have confidence in myself. I just realized, like, I've got AWAI behind me. Like literally, what could go wrong? All I have to do is grab their stuff and follow the outline, like give you step by step on how to write this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I made that switch in my head, and I had confidence in my relationship with AWAI, and I had confidence in myself, and I went from $1,000 project to a $6,800 project plus many hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And what changed? Not my writing skill, my attitude, my confidence changed. And if you'll change that same stuff, you'll be blown away at what will happen in your life. Okay. All right. So that's my number one secret for you. I think I'm ready for questions. What do we got? Post them in the Q&A. I think there's a whole bunch here, but
first of all, we're all going to take a big breath because that was like a water hose, like in our faces. That was amazing. Everybody, we are going to have the playback. I'm going to work really hard with Fran to get this up today and get that link out to you because I know that there's a lot covered here. And I do believe in momentum. Money loves speed. The faster you can move when you have ideas, when you have passion, when you get excited about something, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Even wait 48 hours, 72 hours. I see this every day in my life. I see this every day at AWAI. I see this every day with copywriters. When we get excited about something and we have the meeting the next day and the copywriter turns in a headline lead 48 hours later and the feedback comes in 48 hours after that and they turn in a revise and the first draft within 2 weeks, those promotions always are stronger, always are better. They always do more. When I get a writer coming off a webinar like this that emails me tonight about a question, that emails me tomorrow and shows me their LinkedIn profile, and I see that action and that energy, I know I always put my money on that person because momentum, that's what it's all about. Momentum will get it. Momentum will make it for you. Doing nothing, even if you have the best of intentions, like I'm going to do this on Friday, I'm going to follow up on, I'm telling you, the momentum slows. It would have been so much easier if you did something tonight. So I'll get this playback up as fast as I can. We will have the slides and we'll post the Q&A as well because we've been feverishly answering questions. Before we jump in, so post your questions for Joshua that he didn't answer. I wanted to address one thing. Maybe we can talk about this, but this is about job boards. A lot of people are writing about, job boards. They want so much experience. And I posted that when people post for an ad on a job board, usually what happens is a marketing director, calls HR and says, I need a copywriter. The HR director says, okay, I'm going to post it on Indeed. Can you fill out this form? And on that form, it says work experience, college degree. So the person filling out the form says, okay, I want 5 years of experience and maybe they should have a communications degree or a journal. I don't know. That's what typically happens on a job board. People who are hiring writers through job boards don't know how to hire writers. We're doing our best to educate them, but there's like literally dozens of millions of companies that we have to teach. And it's very hard to reach all of them. So give us time, we'll get there. But job boards is only one thing. We're just so used to applying for jobs because that's what we've done all of our lives. But that's not what we're talking about here. What Joshua is teaching you, what AWAI teaches you, we talk about job boards as one of the 26 ways you can get clients, but that's only one way. We show you how to do it. But stuff like this is so much stronger because you're not reaching out to someone saying, please consider me out of the hundreds of other people for this job. I want this job. What Joshua is having you do is actually pick a niche and say, I'm in your industry. I'm a professional service provider. I'm an expert in your space. Who else are you going to hire? You come to me and tell me that you want me to work for you. You don't post an ad on Indeed looking for 500 random people who say that they're writers. You look for the writer in your industry who really understands your stuff. What Joshua showed you today is how to prove. Those of you who are starting out and are brand new, don't worry about that. It's no different. If you have done the work, if you have gone through the accelerated program, you have skills, and you go out there and do things like this, it's no different, and I use this example all the time, it's no different than the dentist who went to school, got their degree, go out, put their shingle up, I'm a dentist, and then beg somebody to let them drill their teeth for the first time. Nobody wants to work with that guy. Nobody's going to that dentist. So don't worry about being a beginner. I know it's scary, and I know sometimes that confidence, not having, like I haven't drilled anybody's teeth. What if I mess up? If you've done the work, if you've practiced, it's okay. And unlike drilling someone's teeth, you're not going to hurt anybody. So even if you mess up, it's okay. There's millions of companies. You could screw up your first 10 jobs royally, Joshua, and nobody would know. By the way, I was the client that asked him for something in the 11th hour last night, so I appreciated that. However, you're not going to, there's no list out there. There's not like a blacklist that says these copywriters were terrible, don't hire them. I know that sounds scary, and I know some of you were writing about that doubt of what if someone finds out I'm a fraud. You're not a fraud. No matter what, you are where you are, but you need to represent yourself as a professional. From day one, you are a copywriter. Nobody is out there to give you a chance. We're not looking for ads that are posting for newbie copywriters, because that's not what we want, right? We want somebody who can help us, who brings something to the table. And you don't need to have every answer. You don't need to be the best copywriter in the world. You just need to be able to help them. And if you've taken any of our courses, you most likely know a lot more than one that you think you do and that they know. Joshua?
Well, I'm just going so number one, if you have taken any AWI course, then you not most likely, you exponentially know more than most people. I'm telling you, the world-class nature of what AWI teaches is mind-blowing. As a case in point, that first project I did with Corel literally was my third project I had ever done. The second project, by the way, they hated it. They and I did not follow the pattern that AWI teaches. I went rogue. And so my third project, all I did is I took the 6-figure copywriting course. It says, okay, it says do a headline with 4 U's. I'm like, okay, I'll figure that out. So I wrote a headline. I handed it to Margie. I said, does this look like it has 4 U's in it? And she's like, not at all. I'm like, okay, let me try again. So I tried again. She goes, getting closer. I tried again. She goes, that sounds like it's got 4 U's. I'm like, okay, great. And I went through that step by step through the process. I turned it into Corel, and they loved it. And they came back and they said, we wanted you to do another project with us under one condition. Will you please teach our in-house writers how to do what you just did? I was like, I'm a I don't know, but I'm telling you, that's the power that you have in your hands. The second thing that I just want to point out really quick, and I'll answer some more questions. This sense of I'm a new writer, if you will follow the pattern that I just gave you, if you'll make a determination, no matter how bad it is, you'll start today, tomorrow at the latest, and you'll just start writing something, and you'll start doing a little bit of research, and you'll just start putting it out in your LinkedIn profile or on Facebook, or just put it on a website or whatever. If you'll just start, then I'm telling you, within a month's period of time, you will have at least 20 samples of writing that demonstrates you're an expert writer. And literally in less than a month, you will not be a new writer anymore. You'll be a proven writer that has put content out there. And this is why this is so powerful. You just do what you love. Just start putting it out there. And I'm telling you, it's transformational. I've seen it with so many of my students. So take questions.
Oh my gosh, there are so many questions here, and I wish I could just I need to be able to rapid fire the answers. Let's talk about, people want to know your first 3 clients. How specifically did you land your first 3 clients? Please walk us through it.
So first 3 clients, so I got Hydrocephalus Association. I picked up the phone and I called them. Second client was with a division of a large financial firm that I won't mention on this particular call. And I got them as a referral from some people. I had made calls and connected with people. And my last one was Corel, and I picked up the phone and I called them. So I'm telling you that because the reason I did that is, number one, is I didn't know I could write as a writer to make money as a writer. I don't know why that never occurred to me. And number two is I was so far in debt. That's all I had. I had a phone and I could make calls. And you guys, you don't have to do that. So those were the first, significant clients that I got. And somewhere along there too, I also asked a friend of mine if he knew anybody that needed a writer. He said yes. And so I picked up another client. And then things kind of blown up, and I won't tell you my whole story. In fact, I can tell you that another time, another place. But that's really the short answer. The rapid fire answer is I tried. I did something, and I'm telling you, just go out there and write and do something. Okay.
Excellent. And guys, Fran and Jade, there's some questions in here that you should be able to answer. If you can go ahead and post in links about the name of the research program, if you can give links to things like that. I do also, a lot of these questions, I kind of want to reveal what we're working on, Joshua, because I do think it would help them and are you okay with me revealing?
Yeah, because you have the funny look on my face because I'm reading a bunch of these questions, and the vast majority of these would be completely resolved and knocked out of the park if they knew what we were working on. So
I'm going to keep answering, but so one of the things that we did a couple of years ago with Joshua, and you guys will be the first to hear about it, we're not actually going to announce it until I think next week, it's the 11th. And this, for one of you was asking, like, why is bootcamp always in Florida? Can we go somewhere else? Everybody wants a piece of Joshua and they want to work with him really just for the whole day to hunker down, because we could talk about any one of these messages that you guys are sending in for an hour. It's a lot. And remember, I'm going to send the playback to this out. But so a few years ago, Joshua and he actually came down to Austin with Margie, and we were brainstorming, like, how do we help people on a bigger scale go deeper, faster? Because I believe in this momentum thing. And so we came up with this idea. What if Joshua, we could put him in multiple places in the US and people could come and hunker down and work with him for a full day? It was wildly successful. We used to go to 7 different locations. He would just get on a plane every Friday and go to the next location, next location. And then we kind of put it on pause for a while because it was so, like, the industry was changing and people were so successful. It's kind of like, do we really keep doing this? Like, this is kind of a lot to take on. Joshua took a little break. I begged and pleaded. I sent a few emails, talked to Margie, talked to Joshua again, talked to Jade. Can we do this? And so we are going to do it. We're only going to do 2 locations this year, though. It's coming up in November, but it's called Launch Your Writer's Life in a Day. You will work with Joshua for 10 hours all day. We have this great experience, but he is so hands-on. You literally walk out with this business. So Joshua, can you talk a little bit about that? And then I'll keep trying to answer questions and organize them in the Q&A and come back with more questions afterward.
Yeah.
Oh, Jade and Fran, if you can grab a link. I know that marketing, they're planning on launching on the 11th, but if you can go ahead and post a link that has the pricing and the information, everything, that would be awesome as well.
Cool. So here's what I want to say about this event, and I'll keep it short, because what I've done is I've literally taken more than a decade of my life and condensed it down into a one-day, completely transformational experience. And we have hundreds of people who have written testimonials or given me video testimonials voluntarily about their experience of going to this one-day event. And here's the magic behind it, and that I want to share with you, and that is this. When I first started, I had this belief that like I had where I was at and I had where I wanted to go. And I saw the gap between the lifestyle that I wanted, the income that I wanted, the debt-free experience that I wanted, et cetera. And I saw that there was like this road to go from where I was to where I wanted to be. And I had in my mind that it was complicated. There was like 50 moving parts and all of them were important. And like, how do I dive in and do that? And there's a bunch of scary stuff. And there's all these things. Like, raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Like, if you felt and experienced that, you're like, oh, I'm a brand new writer. And there's Joshua. The journey from where I'm at to where he's at must be like crazy complicated. Like, what's all this stuff I have to learn, and LinkedIn and website and blah, 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 right? Like you've seen that and experienced it, right? So I had that same thought. And over the years, as I have worked with, A, built my own business, and B, worked with other writers, I've realized that actually it's not that complicated. And in fact, and this will blow your mind, but I've validated it so many times, there's actually 5. There's 5 specific areas you need to address to launch your business and to create a successful writing business. It's not 100, it's not a 50, it's not 1,001 different complicated steps you've got to take. There's 5 core things that you need to do. And they're so simple, I literally can give you the foundation for all of those in a single day. And not just tell you about them. This is not where like, hey, come and I'm going to talk for 8 hours straight. No. This is come and we're actually going to implement. We're going to do it. And when Rebecca says you walk out with a business, what she means is literally you walk out with all the tools, the resources, the training, the insights, the steps, that simple high leverage step-by-step process that I have seen thousands of writers use to get from where they're at to where they want to be. And I'm inviting you to come spend a whole day with me so we can take what we've learned today and actually implement it. I will actually walk you through implementing this. And you got a lot of questions about, well, how do I put it on? Or how long is the post? And do I do LinkedIn or Facebook, et cetera? Like let's you and me sit in a room together and solve that and implement it on the spot. And that's what this is all about. And I'm telling you, I've got it so refined and so simplified, we literally can do this in a day. It's awesome, but we've done it dozens of times. And so come spend a day with me. Like, seriously, like, let's rock this thing, because my passion is to help you get to make that journey safely, successfully, powerfully, doing what you love, which is writing, and in a way that's just gonna like rock your world. So That's what I want to do. Anything else you want me to say about that? I could get into specific details, but we start at square one, and I tell you high leverage point number one, and then we move up from there, and we lay the entire foundation for your business in a day. Cool.
Yes. Hold on once. Sorry, guys. I'm
answering. You're writing his answer. Okay.
But no, one thing I wanted to say, it's so funny. I was just answering Corinne's email question about samples. And guys, we will publish the Q&A as well, because a lot of the times we're answering the questions and we're giving you links to resources that go deeper into that topic. So we will publish that, so you'll have it all as well. I was just going to say, as you were saying that about people actually leaving, we were at boot camp last year, and Jade, who's on the webinar right now, but she runs our events with Denise Ford. And she was walking around, and like our success people who were up on the success panel, or like people who everyone was kind of crowded around talking to, she was walking through, she's like, I met him at the Joshua Boswell tour. I met her at the Joshua Boswell tour. She's like, it's so amazing to me to see how many people who are on our success panels at boot camp she originally met when she joined AWAI. That was her first big thing that she ran for us, was the tour. So it's just so neat to watch people go from that event to then being successful and being on the panel. And it's just such a neat full circle kind of thing. But that was a realization that she had at boot camp last year that I thought was really cool. Yeah. So what's happening? Someone's sharing who's sharing our screen? Is that you, Joshua? Stop doing it. So hopefully, I don't know if they've posted a link in the chat, but you guys will have time. It's not even closing. It's not like we're not going to do this, like, got to do it today. But I will tell you, there are limited seats. So once we launch next week, they'll go fast. You guys are hearing about it first. Normally, we're supposed to give it to our Premier members first, Circle of Success and Infinity. But it just felt like I had to say it. I would feel really dishonest if I walked away and was like, hey, that was weird. So you guys hear about it first. But for those of my Circle of Success members and Infinity who are on the webinar, you guys do have a different deal. So you can use the link to get the information, but then look for an email from Barb with your deal. Infinity and Circle of Success members get the best deal on all of our stuff, including all of our live events, including the tour. So don't buy through that page. But if you are planning to go, I do recommend you grab a seat once you decide. You actually have a couple days to like research flights and do that stuff. Because once we do it, it will sell out, I would guess, in a matter of a couple of days. So once we launch it next week. Going back to all of these questions, though, I'm a new writer. Where can I get help and guidance for creating good presence with LinkedIn? Jade and Fran, if you can grab the Inside AWAI link and just kind of help me with some of these, I'd appreciate it. Although Joshua does cover all of that in detail through his training as well. How to use the triggers in writing articles? Please expand a bit. I feel like you covered that in detail.
Yeah, the short answer is you find out something that's important to the person you're writing to, and you just integrate that into there. So like for me, if you wanted to catch my attention, then you could send me an email that relates to my children. I'll give you another silly example. Like I got an envelope in the mail. You know, you get envelopes in the mail, and I'm sitting there and I'm just tossing my junk mail, and I like freeze on one of these envelopes. And I didn't know why. And so I looked at it a little closer, and there's my name on it. I'm like, that's not why. And then I looked even closer, and they had silhouetted in the background, so very light, almost like a watermark onto the envelope, a picture of my house. Like my house, like from a Google Street View.
That is so creepy.
No, it was like weird, but like think about it. Like think how like it completely arrested my attention because, well, my house is kind of important to me. And I'm like, oh, why are they sending it? And it was about insurance and different stuff. But anyway, like, so when you find what is important to people, then you just talk about it and communicate that. Don't do it in a creepy way, but like, you know what I mean? So.
Someone was asking about, like, how do you find those triggers? Like Joshua was just saying, this is like a basic principle in copywriting. We teach it in the accelerated program, understanding your prospect. It's no different than your client. Your client is your prospect. So what is keeping them up at night? But again, how do we connect on these emotional levels? Not one piece is not going to connect with every marketing director. If you decide to go for an emotional trigger and you use children, you're going to connect with some of them, but you're going to connect with them on a deeper level, right? And then you can write about something else that isn't relevant to children, and that can connect with a different segment. So you have a pocket of prospects. What are the things that are relevant to all of them? Well, the things that are relevant to them is helping them be more successful, right? To become marketing geniuses, to be superstars, to have their bottom line increase, to have great campaigns, to have this copy be the best copy that's ever been written before. All of that is part of their personal, like what they need, but you can go deeper. Start looking to find, if you start participating in groups and things, That's a great way. Like, where are your potential clients hanging out? Where are their associations? What are their Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups?
Totally.
Kind of watch them and you'll just see trends. People will say something. I've done a test of this on Facebook before where I post something business related and I get really good response. I post something personal and I get a great response. It's like the response on the personal stuff is definitely
right.
like, yeah, like, wow, we have unpacked a lot here. So there's no right answer. You know, you just have to kind of, and then you'll try to see what works. For all you know, 90% of your potential clients do have kids. Who knows? Like, you just don't really know until you find that works. So it might take a little.
Let me answer one other question that came up here really quick. And Janet, and I know that some of you are thinking the same thing. Like, so Janet says, like, well, what do I need to prepare and do and bring to the one-day event in order to have it be successful? And here's the deal. Before you come to the event, we actually do, as you can tell, I love to over deliver. Like, we should have taken 45 minutes on this training. I took an hour and I just crammed everything in. This is my style because I love you guys. You think that's weird for me to say, but I'm telling you, I love helping you guys succeed. It just trips my trigger like no other. But I've been trying to do it for the last decade, right? So here's the deal. Like, before you come to the event, there's actually some pre-event stuff. So you'll get some specific targeted training videos. There's a live webinar with me where I'll dive in and answer a bunch more questions. And I'm literally going to take you through step by step exactly what you need to do, not only to launch your career, but to be prepared for the event. And I give you all the details on that so that when you walk into the room, I'm going to get all of us, when we all walk into the room together, I know that we're at a certain spot and we're going to use that as the platform to launch your business. And so we cover all that. And then there's, after the event, there's additional resources and training and insights for you that'll help you carry on that journey as well. So there's a lot of stuff there. I just really try to make this a comprehensive. It's going to be like this is for those that are able to get in the room. And again, the rooms are not going to be, this is not thousands of writers that we're allowing in here because I can't do the hands-on workshop experience. This is going to be much smaller. And literally, Jade's not kidding when we say that so many of the success stories that we see have sprung out of that event because it's transformational. You go from being, I wonder what to do and how to do it, to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I think about one of my students, a guy named Jake Hoffberg, and he was like I was so confused about what I was doing and how I was doing it. And I got Joshua's program and went to the event. It was like, all of a sudden I knew, step 1, just do this. Step 2, just do this. And like, raise your hand if that kind of clarity just sounds awesome. Like, seriously, like, amazing, right? And I'm not trying to brag on myself, but it's like, I've been doing this for more than a decade. So like, let's crunch all that down into a single day and give you the simple steps and then get you going. Like, let's not wait around anymore for you to achieve that lifestyle. Let's do it now together. Okay.
I think that's again, like the confidence side of things. People want confidence. And I swear, if I could manufacture something that would give them confidence, I would spend most of my money doing it because it's the one thing that I just can't I can't give it to you. However, I do believe, and I have found in all of my experience, I've been doing this 20 years, 15 years at AWI, confidence is just fear of the unknown. Unfortunately, the more you do something, the more confident you become. We can talk about swimming all day long, but until you actually get in that pool, the first time is going to be super scary. Second time, less scary. Third time, less scary because you know what to do at that point. That's the thing. You fear the unknown. And what I love about the way that you teach, Joshua, is that it's not like, here's everything you could possibly do, but rather, here is the exact step to take. Here is the next step to take. Here's the next step to take. So that you don't feel like, okay, great, I'm going to market myself, but I don't know what to do. And just by taking those steps, I find that that's what gives you confidence. You don't have to worry about the whole elephant. You're just taking one bite at a time. He's telling you exactly what bite to eat when. And each bite that you eat gives you that confidence so that you're 3 steps in and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've been marketing myself. And that was the thing I feared most with all of this. And yet I'm already doing it. So then all of a sudden you're like, that doesn't seem so scary. I'll just take one more step. And then clients start coming. You're like, oh, this wasn't so scary. So just do it. Even whether you do it with Joshua or you do it somewhere else, take time today. Like we're going to get this playback up as quickly as possible. Go through it again, read through the Q&A, go through the slides, and commit to taking action today. Whether you sign up for the tour tonight or you just start your content plan, do something and do something every day and keep moving forward because that's the only way you're going to gain confidence is having that clarity of, what it actually is on the other side.
Totally.
All right. Chris says, you can jump in on any of these questions if you want to grab one, Joshua. There's some on just how you structure your day. I want to answer this one really quick about experience in my domain, but new to copywriting. How can I generate ideas to turn that experience into articles? So I have 10 years of solar technology experience, which means everyone and their mother is going to want to hire me as a solar technology writer. But I don't have any copywriting experience, which again doesn't matter. I have 20 years of copywriting experience, and you're getting that job every day of the week because you have the experience in your niche. But how do I come up with creative ideas for articles in my niche?
Yeah. So I use a process, and I'll just walk you through it really quick, but I use a process that I call thin slicing. Thin slicing will allow you to have literally an unlimited number of topics to talk about. So the first thing you start off is, hey, what's important to the people that are hiring in my niche? What's important to them? Number two, you look at, okay, how do I demonstrate, and again, I'm rehearsing some of the things we've already talked about, but how do I demonstrate that I'm an expert writer in addition to being an expert in my arena? And so you'd look at the topics that AWI talks about and about good writing skills and techniques and how you grab people's attention and what's important to them, et cetera. And then you list out, you say, okay, I ask myself the question, what's everything I know about, we'll use the solar example. What's everything I know about the solar industry? And I just start writing and I make a list. And then what's everything I know about good writing for the solar industry? And then I make a list and I just see, well, do I know anything else? And I write that down. Do I know anything else? And I write that down. And then I look at all those topics and I see where the lineup is. And then I say, okay, well, I know about, so I'm a good writer in the solar industry because I am the customer. I've done installs and I've talked to 500 of these people. I know what their fears and wants and hopes are. Or I do whatever, right? And you say, okay, solar customers are most concerned about A or B or whatever the topic is. And then you look at that thing. So say they're most concerned about, independence and not being on the grid in case the grid goes down and they want some independence there. Or maybe they're most concerned about money. And so you would say, okay, here's some topics that I could write about, like, here's how you write to somebody who wants to be off the grid. And you say, well, what kind of people want to be off the grid? And now I'm thin slicing it. See, I took one topic and now I'm going to start shaving it down. Well, what's somebody that wants to be off the grid? Well, I know preppers want to be off the grid. People have have a sense of independence, want to be off the grid. People who are concerned about natural disasters want to be off the grid. And I can then write an article about, here's how you talk to someone who's a prepper and get them to buy solar. Here's how you write and talk to somebody who's concerned about natural disasters and get them to buy solar. Here's how you write. See how I took one core topic and I just started slice, 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 slice. Now, if you'll go through this exercise and keep asking yourself, well, what else do I know about them? What else do I know about them? Literally, I had one of my students, I walked through this process and he was like, he does ghostwriting. And he was like, I don't know anything about ghostwriting. How am I going to attract clients for ghostwriting? He was a new writer. And I said, well, just start with a list of everything you know about ghostwriting and send it over to me. And he did, and there was about 10, 15 things. And I said, now go back and every single one of these, ask yourself, what else do I know about this? How does this relate to me being an expert writer? He came back to me a day later and he had over 500 topics, like an endless supply of topics he could write about, okay? And all of them were targeted to demonstrating he's an expert writer in the field. He knows his stuff, and it was off to the races. And he's done lots of ghostwriting projects since then. So that's my answer to that one.
Excellent. I want to answer this one from Amy. Regarding comparison with journalism, my problem is that my experience is all over the place writing fact-based features, articles, and corporate communications. I truly do not feel like I have an expertise. I'm a very experienced award-winning writer, but don't know who a target audience is for me. So Amy, your experience screams B2B. Your style of writing, I mean, you could write white papers, you could do case studies, you could do any kind of the 22 different types of content that are in B2B. I would highly recommend that you explore that. And if you come to the tour with Joshua, I would dig in even further. I mean, B2B is like an overarching style of copy and content. It's where businesses sell to other businesses instead of consumers like you and me. But what you're going to actually do is dive into that and figure out what specific niche could be right for you. Because you already have this level of experience, it's really going to be like looking to see where other experience you have, other opportunities. It could be your target market that you are. I'm a mom, for example, like that's my market. I could work for infant safety, let's say, because I know who the prospect is. I don't have any experience in infant safety. I couldn't tell you how to manufacture a product or why one bathtub is better than the other bathtub at all. However, I will tell you that I have spent hours awake at night wondering if my kids are breathing. I would be happy to write for one of those little monitors that goes into their crib that tells the mom, hey, you can sleep easy tonight because I'll tell you if anything happens to your baby. That's how I promote myself. Once you pick a niche, you promote yourself to those clients saying, hey, I know nothing about your product. However, I know exactly how the mom feels, and I will write copy that's going to resonate with that mom, that's going to make them buy your product. That's how, and then what Josh was showing you today is proving that. Don't even take my word for it. Look at my articles. I'm the one who's attracting all the moms to my LinkedIn profile because I'm the one telling them what the best products are and how not to worry about all of these things that you think are so important that are probably never going to happen. So that's how you can do it. But people like Joshua are so talented. I'm giving you a very surface example. He's so talented at saying, of the 500 potential niches you could pick, here's how to narrow down. Here's how to make sure you're choosing a profitable niche. And that kind of stuff happens at the tour. You make sure that you are focusing on a niche so that you're not spending the next 6 months going after writing content on somebody that doesn't have any money to spend. Right. Some of that was in the Q&A too. Like, what about they don't want to spend the money, blah, blah, blah. What if I give them too much information? We're not targeting do-it-yourselfers here. We're targeting real businesses who've got real skin in the game, big bottom lines, who are looking for solid copy and content writers to help them. If I manufacture widgets, I don't want to write copy. It doesn't matter how much great information that you give me. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it because I want people who can help me move my business. That's the mindset you have to be in right now because you're a professional service provider. You're helping them. You're driving their business forward. It's a big deal and it's exciting. And Josh was really good at helping you get in that mindset and then walking through those baby steps and basic steps to represent yourself as such.
So I'm sitting here like you think I'm a geek, but I'm like getting chills because here's one of my favorite things about the live event. Like one of the major concerns that I see, like an obstacle that people, like if the first big obstacle is to get clients, then the first big obstacle in getting clients is deciding on a niche, where to target, who to address, etc. And I see so many writers like swirl around the drain on this topic. And here's my favorite thing. This like I'm giddy about this, and I mean this totally sincerely. I have a very specific process that I walk people through. So literally in less than within the first half hour of our day, you have decided with confidence that you are in the right niche and you're going to be able to make money as a writer in that niche. And like literally, like with the first thing we do, I'm like, okay, we're going to walk through this exercise. We're going to get this knocked out. You're going to make a decision right here. And we do it. And everyone's like, oh,
no.
They're like, first of all, they're like, no, I can't do it. And then we do it. And they're like, why have I been worrying about this? Like, this is like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I get it. Because we just go through there. And that's literally, it's one of the biggest breakthrough moments that we do in the whole process. And it happens in the first half hour. Done. It'll be totally solved for you. Anyway.
And that actually sets the tone for the whole event, just so you know. It's like his roller coaster example. Like, you didn't even get to make the decision or wait in line. The roller coaster's already over, and you're like, oh, it's already done. I didn't even have to. What was I fearing? Because I don't even remember being on the roller coaster. So in the first 30 minutes, he had you pick a niche, and you're done. No more worrying about it. And that's the tone for the event. It's like, we're going to get stuff done. We're going to walk out of here and be confident and be ready and know exactly what to do the minute we get home. That's the other big thing, too, is, you know, we're all working kind of in our home offices and in our places. We're just kind of by ourselves, and I get that. I highly recommend reaching out to the AWI community. We have such great groups on Facebook and LinkedIn.
So many cool people.
But when you guys go to these local tours, you're part of this other group. So like, you're connected with Joshua, you're connected with his team, plus you're connected with each other, which is kind of nice to have these smaller groups. Same thing happens at boot camp. So when you get involved in these little groups, I recommend that you do find those connections, because it's just so nice to have Joshua to be able to go to. You know, you get access to him for part of the tour. Along with the 10 days, you also get access for 6 months. And so being able to say, hey, guys, I'm having this problem with this, or I have this opportunity. This is my favorite one. I have this opportunity. Somebody call me. I don't know what to do because I'm too nervous to take this job, or what do I price her? They're asking me, they're going to charge me more. They're going to give me more than what I normally charge. What do I do? We're like, you say yes. And then you come back.
Yes, number one.
But having that group and having Joshua work through that stuff with you, it just is a really cool thing. So whether you do this or find that group somewhere else, you kind of want to have a little bit of that support along the way. So we're all over the place, sorry. How do you get past a query so that the magazine can actually see the article I have written?
So the simple answer is that actually I have to give full credit where credit's due. Every article I've ever had published has been based on the back of this really cool system Bob Bly has for putting a query letter together. I have tweaked it a little bit through the years, but you know, honestly, it's like you put this query letter together, you send it off to them, and it's like magic. Like people come back and they want to publish you. So I think that answers your question. The big thing is that a well-designed query letter tells exactly who the target audience is that you're addressing. So it shows that you understand who their readership is, what the benefit is for them reading your article, and what the key points of the article are. And when you lay that out to them, and the other key part about that is that all the query letters I've ever done, the opening of the query letter is actually the opening of the article, which is really twisted. Like a lot of people like, what, really, you're just giving away part of the article? Yeah, I am. And I know that if I can get them hooked into reading that first paragraph, it's a done deal, because then they'll be like, oh, I just read part of the article. Like, as busy as I am, I just read part of the article. Like, okay, this is good. We're going to get it out to our people, right?
That's such an important thing too now, because like Facebook and other outlets are reducing the amount that's visible. So those first two lines are so important to hook and engage. And that's another copywriting principle, right? The headline is the most important piece of the copy. You got to grab them by the lapels and say, yes, I have something for you. Here's a big promise. Same thing with the articles that you're writing. So if you get that little snapshot in front of somebody, there's such a better chance that they're going to click through or read your article because they've already started. It's like, I want to keep the conversation going. I want to know what the next sentence is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's close out with this last question. If anybody has any more, we'll do a quick last call. But Mary has a time and energy management question. Can you see it in the Q&A? Basically, she's asking for what is your recommendation for how much time to work? How do you become more efficient? And I'm sure we both have so many productivity tips that we could share, as we both are high output people.
Yeah. So a couple of things, and I'm just going to look here. Sequence probably like things like before. Okay. So Mary, here's what I've done in my business. Okay. What I've done is I first focused on being able to market myself and to get clients. And maybe I can just draw a little picture out here for you. So let's say that this box, I don't know if you can see this at all, but this box represents where I'm at. And then I start getting a whole bunch of new clients, and it fills up my time schedule. So now what I get to do is, and we just see right there, so I got a bunch of stuff coming in here. So now what I do is I do two things. One is I do an evaluation of the clients that I have. And I'm going to evaluate them based on a couple of things. Number one, most important to me, are what are the values that I espouse? And is the client totally in harmony with those? Number two, does working with this client resonate with the lifestyle that I want to create? Number three, does working with this client have fulfillment for me in terms of what I want my mission to be? And number four, does it resonate with the kind of income that I want to have? Okay, so there's four major criteria there. And so I'll evaluate those. Inevitably what happens is I end up raising my prices. And so I have an increase of rates here, and I'll raise up my price. And what happens is as soon as I raise prices, then one of a couple of things happens. These clients here either come along with me and move up, or inevitably what happens is they drop out. And some of the clients that I want to have drop out, if they haven't fit into that four-part criteria that I established, then I go back to them and say, hey, it's awesome working with you. I'm sort of changing the way I'm doing some of my business stuff. I've got a whole pool of other writers, some of my associates, and I would love to connect you with another writer that might be a better fit for where you're at right now. And, I'm going to move on. So I either have a financial conversation or I have sort of a values, purpose-driven conversation with them. And what that does is that allows me, like I initially thought, well, I have to take everything everyone's coming at me because I was desperate and I felt like there was a whole bunch of scarcity there. And then I realized like, oh, wait, I figured out a system like I can have a lot of, like there's never ending stream of clients. So now I can raise my prices, raise my focus of lifestyle, values, mission, purpose, and then I can be a little more selective about who I take. And that allowed me to, like I call it the strategic pursuit of less. And so how do I have more money but less work? And I do that through that process I just told you. And I've repeated this dozens and dozens of times over the years. Thanks.
There's like weird typing paste. These webinars are so fun because we're like live on camera, but yet we're also trying to answer in the Q&A, and awesome. Okay.
Cool.
Any more questions? Okay, these are the final questions. We'll end on this. This is actually a good quick one. How do you increase work from a client you particularly enjoy working with but only gives you minimal work? increase the scope of those projects.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So I'm getting chills again because this is my second favorite part of our day together. Let me give you a quick snapshot, and that is this. What I've discovered is that number one, there's two categories here. There's the clients who are giving you a little bit, and they should not be in your life. Like, you should lovingly pass them off to somebody else or fire them because they will never grow with you. And so that's one option. Option number two, even better option, and that is to grow them through your insights. And here's what I mean by that. It's a system that I call the endless profit matrix. And it's where you look at it and you very calculatedly, strategically organize different things that you could do for them. See, what the challenge most writers have is they're saying, well, the client only gives me X amount of stuff, right? And what's the mindset there? The mindset is that I'm waiting. Come on, speed it up, right? And instead, I want you to turn around and exercise what I call servant leadership and say, okay, what can I do to help the client grow? How could I increase their writing? Is there a different project that I could propose to them? And I'm telling you, the vast majority of the writing that I have done over the last 10 years especially has been projects that I have initiated in one way or another. Because I'll be like, oh, I've got an idea. Look, did you know if you put this sales letter together, you could spin this off and do this, or write this set of emails, or here, I got an idea for an article set. And look, it's a no-brainer for them as they can see how that proposal makes them money, increases their likes, expands their business. Why wouldn't they take it? They love it. They absolutely love it. I think about my relationship with AWAI. And now Rebecca's amazing at this. So she comes to me with ideas, but like just as many times, like I'm coming in and being like, hey, what about this? What about that? Katie used to say to me, she's like, Joshua, you keep bringing the fire, but I have to bring the bucket of water on occasion because I can't do all that stuff. So there you go.
So Lisa, to answer your question about Joshua's tours continuing in 2020, not at this time. We have boot camp in May. So this is kind of we had this little window to do it. And so we decided, let's do it. So we decided to do it. So that's why that promo that you guys see up today, you're getting first look. If there are any typos or edits, you can email them to me because we're not finished with it, but it's all there. All the details are there. It's all linked up. Technically it works. You can sign up, but you might find glitches in like copy or, so if you find anything, send it to me at askrebecca@awai.com. But please be patient because again, we're still building out the page. So you're going to kind of see it in its not final state. But no, so this will be the first one that we're doing. This is the best hour and a half I've spent in a long time, says Jim. Awesome. We're getting such mad like thanks and praise, and Joshua, I don't want your head to just explode right on screen.
I won't read.
So I'm just gonna say this was awesome. Everybody's super appreciative, and guys, we're super appreciative of you being here. We just so value the opportunity to connect with you like this, and that you trust us to give us your time. We know this is an investment of time, and thank you for being here. And I hope that you do something with this. Remember, we do Inside AWAI every single month. So if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover, please email me at askrebecca@awai.com. If you have any questions about the tour or anything, you can email me about that as well. I'm happy to get answers for you, whether it's from Joshua or whether I happen to know the answer. And with that, Joshua, thank you.
Thank you. It's fabulous being with you guys. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for having me.
We're going to get the playback up today. So remember, money loves speed, and momentum is the only thing that will push you and make you move faster. So do something with this information today. And I look forward to hearing your story very soon. Bye, everyone.
Okay, thanks, guys. And I look forward to meeting you. I really want to meet you guys. So come on over. Talk to you later. Bye now.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Joshua.